Good morning, invaders, and welcome to the first video that we are uploading on our PlayStation Invasion Podcast YouTube channel. And I'm here to give my impressions on day one of E3. We're going to talk a little bit about Beyond, the new game or Beyond Two Souls. It's going by both titles now. The new game from Heavy Rain developer Quantic Dream.
The game is starring Ellen Page as Jodie Holmes,
who has a supernatural entity as a companion in the game.
This game follows Jodie over 15 years of her life. Now, David Cage, while he was on stage, right before he left
the stage at the Sony E3 press conference, kind of gave a hint that there's going to be multiple endings to the game like Heavy Rain had. He hinted at this by saying that if you play the game right, you'll kind of get a glimpse of what happens in the afterlife, what happens after death.
But the demo for the game, I couldn't even tell if the guy was playing. There weren't any button prompts on the screen at all, stuff like that would kind of hint you to
he was actually playing the game, but it was really intense. From what I could tell from the demo, the story is really good. But again, we only got a short glimpse of it, but it was a very quietly intense scene. There was a lot of tension in the scene.
And the animation was just unreal. If you didn't know that you were watching a game demo, you could possibly
think that you were watching a trailer for a new movie. Sony used this to kick off their press conference, and they definitely did it right. I'm going to be jumping around a little bit back and forth about stuff I saw during day one of E3. So it's not all going to be Sony, and it's not really going to go in order of what was shown. Sorry, it's in the morning. I need my coffee to get up. Let's see here. Next up, with EA's press conference, they unveiled what everyone pretty much knew. They are starting a subscription service for Battlefield 3. They're calling it Battlefield 3 Premium. And if you sign up for Battlefield 3 Premium, which is $49.99 for a year, if you're on the PlayStation 3, you have 2 weeks early access to, one example is Close Quarters, the new map that's up. And then if you sign up using Xbox 360 or PC, you have 1 week early access. So PlayStation 3 players of Battlefield 3 that sign up, that purchase Battlefield 3 Premium, get access to Close Quarters a week before Xbox 360 and PC. And then Xbox 360 and PC get it a week before anyone else does. But Battlefield 3 Premium will get you early access to maps, weapons, and new modes. So that's about it. It's pretty much Call of Duty Elite just for Battlefield. I'm wondering if they'll ever roll something like this out for Medal of Honor, but who knows? We'll have to see. Let's see here. Moving on to the next thing. Besides Racketeer, which was sort of a kid, family-friendly game that Microsoft showed off during their press conference, there weren't a whole lot of kid-friendly, family-friendly games shown off during the press conferences. I mean, Microsoft had Racketeer,
and Sony showed off Wonder Book, and LBP Karting was shown off
earlier in the week, though. They didn't show that during the press conference. But it seems like both consoles are not really focusing on that as much this year. Because if you remember last year, Microsoft showed Once Upon a Monster, Connect Disneyland, Adventures, some other titles. Sony had a whole lot of Move games that they showed off. So it just seems like they're taking less of a focus on family and kid-friendly games this year than they did last year, so we'll have to see what Nintendo shows off today to see if we get it. I'm sure we'll get a lot more kid-friendly stuff from them, but the other two aren't showing as much. Now, for the first-person shooters.
Call of Duty Black Ops 2 didn't really appeal to me, and neither did Halo 4, and neither did Medal of Honor. They looked like they were more of the same.
It's, Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, it's the same, it's running on the same engine.
They're not making very big innovations in the first-person shooter genre.
Now, that being said, one first-person shooter that did appeal to me was Crysis 3.
The environments were very, for lack of a better term, lush jungle environments, even though you weren't in the jungle. It grew up around the city. But it just looked different enough to set it apart
from the other first-person shooters. That said, I'm pretty sure the demo for Crysis 3 was running on a PC. So I'm not sure how the console version is going to compare to that. But another first-person shooter that I took note of during day one of E3 was
Far Cry 3, when Ubisoft showed it off at
their press conference, and again at the Sony press conference to show off the 4-player co-op. But
holy shit, that demo was crazy. If you didn't see it, just nudity, like an acid trip, tigers eating people. It was just it was crazy. It was crazy.
But first-person shooters, not too much appealing to me this year, other than Crysis 3, which is probably next year anyway, I believe. But that being said, third-person shooters / action games really, really appealed to me.
The Last of Us, Tomb Raider, Splinter Cell Blacklist, Assassin's Creed 3. They all stole their respective shows.
And The Last of Us and Assassin's Creed 3 kind of stole the Sony show for me because they were both shown during that show. Ubisoft showed Assassin's Creed during their event, their press conference, but they also showed different gameplay during the Sony press conference.
Yeah, the third-person shooters seemed to me where just the innovation and the new ideas, other than platformers and stuff like that, they seem to be where the innovation and new ideas are taking hold and being thrown out there.
Everyone's making jokes that the bow and arrow is the new weapon this year. You saw bow and arrow in Assassin's Creed 3, Tomb Raider, Crysis 3, but other than they all looked unique enough to every one of them being appealing in their own right. And the PS3 seems to be ahead of the 360 on that front, seeing as how The Last of Us is an exclusive, and Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed 3 are multi-platform. The Xbox 360 has these third-person shooter action-adventure games that are multi-platform, but not a whole lot of titles on their own. And definitely not any that are on the same level as The Last of Us, or even Beyond. But that's kind of in a different category, since we really don't even know what the gameplay in that one's going to be like. We know it's going to be third person, but I digress. Some other titles, I'm going to wrap things up here just so it's not too long. Some other titles of note that caught my eye during the day one of E3 were Star Wars 1313, Rayman Legends, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, God of War Ascension.
Star Wars 1313 stood out for me with really, really good graphics. Rayman Legends just looks like an all-around good, fun platformer that I'm very interested in. Watch Dogs looks very intricate, but I need to see more of how the multiplayer fits into it.
there's not a whole lot of information out about that, so I'll have to wait and see. And I'm happy about Assassin's Creed Liberation because I love the Assassin's Creed series.
And I wanted one on the Vita that wasn't just a port of Assassin's Creed 3.
So we're getting that, and it's great. Yay! Let's see what else. God of War Ascension.
That looked incredibly intense and brutal.
I'm a sucker for God of War games. I love them. I've played all of them. The PSP ones, the PS2 and PS3 one. So I can't wait for that game.
And the new ability to rewind and pause time intrigued me a whole hell of a lot. I want to see how that comes into play during the platforming puzzle sections.
I will say, however, that the combat in The Last of Us that they showed during the demo, it was more intense than the combat in the God of War Ascension demo, in a different way. And I give major props to Naughty Dog for being able to pull that off.
They were able to do it without the need of constant blood splatters all over the screen, giant enemies, and an imposing soundtrack always playing in the background.
Most of the Last of Us demo was silent. Well, not silent, but no music. And the takedown,
where he takes the guy down with choking him,
it drove home the fact that you're killing someone, albeit virtually, but you still
got that sinking, remorseful feeling in your gut
that you feel when you're watching a movie and there's a brutal and quiet death scene. Naughty Dog nailed that remorseful tone, like you acknowledge you're killing someone.
You're not just killing someone to rack up points. I don't know, it was a different feel, and it's something rare in video games that I appreciate a whole lot.
To wrap up day one of E3, I was convinced that The Last of Us, Beyond, God of War Ascension, Rayman Legends, Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed Liberation, Splinter Cell Blacklist, and Tomb Raider are day one purchases for myself. I am going to take a wait-and-see approach to Halo 4, Far Cry 3, Star Wars 1313, Dead Space 3, Resident Evil 6, Black Ops 2, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Epic Mickey 2, and Medal of Honor. I know I didn't go into detail or even discuss some of those titles that I just mentioned, but that was in the interest of time. But I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And to subscribe to the PSI Podcast's YouTube channel. We're new on here, so subscribe to us. Let us know that you love us and how you feel. And don't forget to leave some comments as well. Maybe we'll answer some questions that you leave down there the rest of the week in our other videos. And stay tuned tomorrow morning for my wrap-up of day 2 of the E3 conference. Don't forget to check out Adam Shear's and Gundam Man's videos. They are posting them this morning. I don't know if they're up already. They might be up after mine. I haven't checked the channel yet. But definitely check those out for their impressions of day 1 of E3. And Gundam Man, Sebastian, is actually there. So he'll be talking about some stuff he saw first hand. But all those videos will be listed under the E3 2012 playlist. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at iRobotDave, right there, somewhere down on the bottom here. I'm going to put it down there so you can read it. You can follow the podcast at PSI Podcast, and be sure to like us on Facebook. Thanks for watching, and keep gaming.